Lily had always been captivated by old antiques. On one of her usual visits to a dusty antique shop downtown, she found a unique ornate mirror hidden at the back of the store. Intricately carved with swirling patterns and stained with years of age, it called to her in a strange, almost magnetic way. She couldn't resist purchasing it, bringing it home and hanging it in her living room. Soon, however, she began to feel as if she was being watched. Every time she passed the mirror, she'd catch a glimpse of a shadow, a figure that seemed to be standing just out of sight. She dismissed it as a trick of the light, a result of her overactive imagination. But as days turned into nights, the figure grew clearer. One night, unable to resist her curiosity, Lily stood before the mirror, determined to confront whatever was lurking within it. She stared hard, watching as the shadow became clearer, its features sharpened. It was a version of herself, pale, with hollow eyes and a sinister smile. Suddenly, her reflection whispered, "I've been waiting." In a heartbeat, the lights flickered, and the mirror rippled as if it were water. Lily stumbled back, but it was too late. Her reflection reached through the glass, grabbing her wrist, pulling her into a dark, chilling void. Her last scream echoed in her empty apartment as the figure stepped out of the mirror, assuming her place in the world. When her friends came to check on her, all they found was the antique mirror with its shadowed figure, patiently waiting for the next curious onlooker. Lily couldn't shake the feeling that something sinister had come with the mirror. Late at night, as she drifted to sleep, she'd hear faint whispers that seemed to seep out from the mirror, coaxing her with fragmented phrases. "Come find me, deep in the woods." Drawn by an inexplicable urge, she finally caved and decided to investigate. Clutching a flashlight, she made her way to the dense woods just beyond town, a place filled with myths and mysteries. The whispers grew stronger as she moved deeper into the forest, the twisted trees seeming to close in around her. A strange mist began to rise, and the forest grew unnaturally quiet. The path before her twisted, guiding her in a winding loop until she came upon a small clearing. At the center of the clearing was an old weathered stone pedestal with an inscription that read, "What you seek lies in the reflection." On it sat a dark pool of water, perfectly still, like a mirror embedded in the ground. As Lily gazed into it, the familiar shadowy figure from her mirror appeared, clearer than ever. This time, though, it beckoned with a crooked finger, its hollow eyes piercing through her as it whispered, "Closer." Without realizing it, Lily leaned over the pool, her fingers grazing the surface. In an instant, the dark water rippled, and a chilling hand shot up, grabbing her wrist with a force that left her paralyzed. She couldn't pull away as the shadow's voice hissed, "You wanted to see me. Now you're mine." As the forest around her spun, the reflection pulled her down into a strange, eerie version of the forest, where every tree seemed to pulse with the shadow's essence. Her screams were swallowed by the endless ghostly trees, her reality twisting into a never-ending nightmare as her own reflection roamed freely in the world she had left behind. The next day, locals found Lily's flashlight in the clearing. They noted strange carvings etched into the trees, but the pool was gone, leaving only eerie silence and a faint whisper on the wind, calling to anyone who dared venture too close. "Come find me." As Lily's scream faded into the shadowy version of the forest, she stumbled forward, feeling the weight of the world pressing down around her. This forest wasn't like the one she had entered. The trees were twisted and shrouded in shadows, their branches clawing at her like skeletal hands. The ground beneath her feet pulsed with a strange, unnatural rhythm, as if alive, mirroring the beating of a hidden heart somewhere within this strange place. Lily wandered aimlessly, each step echoing into the vast silence. Every path she tried led her back to the dark pool, which now seemed alive with shifting reflections of her past, flickering between memories and nightmares. She saw herself standing in front of the mirror at home, her own face twisted and distorted as the shadow behind her grinned and reached out, overlapping her reflection. Her chest tightened with terror, yet she couldn't tear her eyes away from the water. Just then, a figure emerged from behind the twisted trees, cloaked in darkness and silently watching her. She knew this figure well, the very shadow she had seen in the mirror. It drifted closer, silent and menacing, until it stood right behind her, whispering, "You wanted to find me. Now you're here. Forever." Desperate to escape, Lily turned and ran, her footsteps echoing as the shadow pursued her through the endless looping forest. But no matter where she turned, the landscape remained the same, a prison created from her deepest fears. It was as if the forest itself had trapped her within a maze she could never escape, where time and space bent and twisted under the shadow's will. Finally, exhausted and defeated, she collapsed by the pool, her reflection staring back at her with the same hollow eyes as the shadow. Her own voice, distorted and echoing, whispered from the depths, "You belong to the forest now." The mirror was just the beginning. Days later, when friends and family came searching for Lily, they found only her flashlight and faint footprints leading to the clearing. Some claimed to hear whispers at night, calling them by name, while others saw fleeting shadows dancing at the edge of the forest, watching, waiting, and hungry for the next soul to cross the mirror's path. The mirror remained in her room, untouched, reflecting nothing but shadows. Lily's disappearance soon became a chilling mystery in the small town. Rumors spread quickly, especially among those who had ventured into the forest to search for her. They whispered of seeing strange shadows darting between the trees, of hearing faint echoes of a voice that sounded hauntingly like Lily's, calling out from somewhere deep within. Her friends who had first gone searching often found strange markings on the forest trees, symbols resembling the ones near the dark pool which had seemingly appeared overnight. One of her closest friends, Daniel, couldn't shake the feeling that he was being drawn back to the forest. The mirror Lily had been so captivated by was still in her room, untouched. When he visited her house, he noticed it reflecting more than just his image. It seemed to show flickers of movement behind him, almost as if the shadows themselves were watching him. Despite warnings from others, he decided to return to the forest one last time, hoping he could bring back a clue, or maybe, just maybe, Lily herself. The forest was even darker than he remembered, with the twisted trees seeming to shift and sway, even though the air was still. As he approached the clearing where Lily's belongings had been found, he felt the weight of the silence pressing down around him, broken only by the occasional whisper, a whisper that grew louder with each step. When he reached the pool, its surface was dark and still, yet seemed to pull at him, showing glimpses of Lily's last moments. Her reflection appeared, her eyes wide with fear as a dark hand reached out from the water, pulling her deeper into its depths. Daniel stumbled back, horrified, but his eyes were locked on the water, unable to tear himself away. Suddenly, a voice, cold and distant, whispered his name from the shadows. It was Lily, or rather, the shadow of Lily, trapped within the forest's grasp. "Help me," the voice called, but her tone was empty, almost mechanical. The shadow of Lily moved toward him, its eyes blank, yet holding a hint of recognition. "Join me," it murmured, extending a hand. Realizing he was teetering on the edge of a trap, Daniel forced himself to look away, tearing his gaze from her outstretched hand. But before he could turn to run, he felt the cold grip of the shadow pull him forward. The forest had claimed Lily, and now it would take him too to feed the endless void hidden within its depths. In the days that followed, no trace of Daniel was found. Friends and family who went to his house discovered the mirror had cracked down the center. Some claimed that at night they could see Daniel's face reflected faintly, trapped alongside Lily's, their eyes pleading for release from the forest's haunting grasp. Daniel's disappearance only deepened the mystery around Lily and the forest. Friends and family gathered in hushed circles, sharing stories of strange experiences, eerie dreams, and unsettling whispers that seemed to follow them everywhere. Some of the townspeople even spoke of seeing Daniel's silhouette flickering at the edge of the forest, as if watching, waiting, or perhaps warning them. One night, Daniel's brother, Ethan, awoke to a scratching noise at his bedroom window. Reluctantly, he peered through the glass, heart racing. In the faint moonlight, he saw a figure standing among the trees. It looked like Daniel, but his face was pale, eyes hollow. Ethan froze, recognizing the same emptiness in Daniel's eyes that had marked Lily's shadow. The figure raised a hand and beckoned him toward the forest. Unable to resist, Ethan found himself drawn to the dark grove. As he entered the forest, the familiar sounds of night, crickets, the rustling leaves, distant owls, faded, replaced by whispers that grew louder with each step. It was the voices of Daniel and Lily, overlapping, calling his name with a chilling echo that filled the air. At the clearing, he saw the pool, its surface black and mirror-like, reflecting the twisted trees that loomed over him. From the depths of the pool, two faces surfaced, Daniel and Lily, their expressions distorted, as if trapped in an endless scream. The sight paralyzed Ethan with fear, but something deep within him urged him to turn back. He stumbled out of the clearing, fighting the pull of the voices and the darkness surrounding him. Just as he reached the edge of the forest, he felt a hand on his shoulder, cold and clammy, as Daniel's voice whispered in his ear, "It's not over." Since that night, Ethan felt haunted by the forest, its presence lurking in every shadow, whispering in every breeze. The town became wary, its people avoiding the grove altogether. But every year, on the anniversary of Daniel and Lily's disappearances, the townsfolk say the forest grows just a little closer, its shadows stretching toward the town, as if waiting to claim another soul. As Ethan struggled to move on from the harrowing experience, he became increasingly obsessed with the forest's mystery. Each day, his memories of the haunting grew sharper, as if the forest itself etched the images deeper into his mind. Shadows would flicker at the edge of his vision, and faint whispers called his name on the wind, urging him to return. At night, he dreamt of Daniel and Lily, standing at the forest's edge, their eyes hollow, but fixed upon him, as if trying to convey some final message. Ethan began investigating the forest's history, discovering rumors of a dark ritual tied to the grove, a ritual that required souls to be bound to the forest, creating a tether for something even more sinister. Centuries ago, villagers reportedly performed offerings there to protect their lands, giving up loved ones to appease the restless spirits within. Those taken were said to be cursed to wander eternally, caught in the forest's grasp, doomed to lure new souls to the shadows. One evening, Ethan found a faded journal belonging to his grandfather, who had warned about a binding in the grove, writing that only those bound by blood to the previous souls could truly break the curse. Driven by desperation, Ethan ventured back to the forest with a plan to free Daniel and Lily. This time, he armed himself with salt, iron, and a pendant said to protect against dark spirits. In the grove, the atmosphere felt heavier, as though the forest itself resisted his presence. At the clearing, he scattered salt in a circle around him, gripping the pendant tightly. Summoning his courage, he called out, asking Daniel and Lily to show themselves. For a long moment, silence hung in the air. Then a figure appeared, Daniel, his expression pained and pleading. Lily appeared beside him, reaching out a hand. her eyes full of sorrow. They gestured toward the pool, the surface bubbling and swirling as shadows rose from within. Ethan understood. To break the curse, he would need to sever the connection, to release the trapped souls. As he recited an incantation from his grandfather's journal, the shadows writhed and resisted, shrieking in fury. The ground shook, and the trees twisted, their branches reaching toward him. With one final shout, Ethan broke the circle of salt, allowing the shadows to consume him. But as the darkness closed in, a flash of light exploded from the pendant, banishing the spirits back into the depths. The grove fell silent, the oppressive air lifting, and when Ethan opened his eyes, he was alone. The curse had been broken, and Daniel and Lily were free. Though the forest remains, it is quieter now, its shadows no longer reaching for the town. Some say, on misty nights, you can see Ethan's silhouette among the trees, standing guard, ensuring the darkness remains at bay, forever watching over Pine Hollow.
Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button for more videos. Until next time.